It is Tuesday, May 6, 2025, and it is 68 degrees and sunny, which is great because I have about 60 pepper plants. Yeah, you heard that right, that I've got to get planted. They are outgrowing their pots, and I either need to transplant them into the ground or up pot them. I wanted to do this last week, but we had lows expected to be in the 40s, and I have found that pepper plants don't really like low temps like that. Really 55 and above is best for them. But I started these plants from seed, and I want to show you how you could do the same thing, because I don't have a greenhouse or fancy equipment or anything like that. And the last 3 or so years, all the plants that I have grown in my garden, I started from seed. I haven't bought any started plants from like Lowe's or Home Depot or anywhere. And I like that because you have control over what kind of soil you use, what kind of fertilizer you use. You know how the plant was grown. You just have so much more control, and you have so many more options on varieties too. These box stores, they only sell certain varieties, and you're limited to what they have if you buy started plants. But if you can start them from seed, buy 50-cent to $2 seed packet that has 10 to 50 seeds in it, different varieties. Gracie's down here making noises. Then you can start something, have something completely different that isn't offered in the store. You just have a lot more options, and it's fun. It is time consuming, but it's fun. And if I can do it, you can do it. And I want to show you how I do that. So hopefully you can try it, maybe this year, if not this year, next year, and give you some different varieties to try. So these are some of my pepper plants that I started from seed back in February to April. These have been up potted because they outgrew the container that I started them in. So I did have to transplant them to a bigger pot. They are ready to go on the ground. I'm not up potting them anymore. I don't really like doing that. I think they do better in the ground. Gracie bug, you're in the way. And so I want to show you how you can do this. It is so easy. It just takes a little time. Okay, so to start my tomato and pepper seeds at home, I use a water jug like this. Just a gallon water jug. You can use one like this. This is the kind that I first used. The problem with these that I found is that the sunlight is filtered, but it can take longer for germination. It still gets warm enough. It warms the soil up and still gets warm enough in the jug. It just might take a little bit longer and not be as great. So I really like these clear ones a lot better. Okay, so what I do is I drill some holes in the bottom of this jug using a drill bit, and I don't want the holes so big that they're going to let all the soil come out. So it kind of depends on how your soil is. You really want to use fine soil, like seed starting media is really good because it's really fine, and when your seeds start to germinate, it won't cause like mulch, wood chips to get over them and kind of stop them from germinating. But this drill bit's about a 3/16 or so size. And so I'm just going to drill some holes in the bottom of this. Hopefully my battery doesn't die. So I usually put about 6 to 8 holes in the bottom. This is just kind of an example. Again, you just want them big enough that water's going to come out and soil is going to stay in. If you make these too big, your soil is going to come out. If you make them too small, it's not going to drain like it needs to. And peppers don't really like wet roots. Tomatoes can do a little bit better than peppers, but really none of those plants are going to do great if your soil is constantly holding water. Okay, after you drill your holes in the bottom, you want to take a box blade or some scissors even, whatever you've got that will cut through this. You want to cut about 3 to 4 inches from the bottom up, and this is going to determine how much soil you put in here. So make sure Whatever you're planting, you kind of know how many seeds you're going to put in here and how much soil you're going to need for the roots. I usually cut about that much. If I'm doing pepper plants, I will do 4 seeds. If I'm doing tomatoes, I will do about 5 seeds. And you don't want to cut all the way across. So here's one that I already did. You want to make like a hinge on this back side. I'll leave a little bit so I don't cut all the way through. And what we're going to do with this, we would put soil in here. I wouldn't fill it up completely because when you go to water it, the soil can wash over. So I'll fill it up to about right here with soil. And I moisten my soil first and then put it in here. And I don't compact it a whole lot because you want to keep it kind of loose so that the roots can grow. I will then plant my pepper seeds, 1 in each corner of this jug. And if I'm doing tomatoes, I will do the same thing, but I will put 1 in the center as well. Just lightly cover it. Then I close this. I take the cap off the jug and I put a strip of duct tape over it to hold it shut, and I label it. Sometimes I will also label the jug because I have had, even though I use a garden marker, I have had it come off this duct tape just because it's not really made to hold that kind of like ink or anything like that. So if you rub it enough and you're peeling it off to water them and stuff like that, it will come off. After the seeds start to germinate in this, I start seeing the first 2 leaves on all of my seeds. I then carefully untape this and leave it open. I will have these outside from the time I plant them as long as temperatures are favorable. So if it is 55 or above, even at night, this is where it kind of gets time consuming. At night, a lot of times in February, March, April even, your lows are below 50. So that means you have to bring these in because most of the time we don't keep our houses at 40 degrees. If you do, I'm not coming to your house because I will freeze to death. So I bring them in at night or whenever the temperatures start dropping, put them out during the day. Anytime it is sunny, it's great to have them out because when the lid is on, this acts like a little greenhouse. So it will build up heat in here. And those seeds, they need that heat. They need that warm soil to germinate. Until they germinate, they don't need sunlight. Once they germinate, once they get their leaves, then they have to have sunlight. If they don't have sunlight, they're going to become what's called leggy. So your plants are going to be a big old stem. And that's not really a healthy plant. So you want to try to keep them out in sunlight as long and as much as possible, because that sunlight is heating up the soil in this jug, and it's also helping the seed germinate, and it's also helping the plant, once it has its first set of leaves, grow and become healthy. When your pepper plants get this big, they really need to be transplanted either into a bigger pot, not huge, but a little bit bigger, or into the ground, because they are going to quickly start outgrowing this that they're in, and their roots are going to start kind of becoming all tangled up, and it can just kind of harm them and stunt their growth when we start having to separate them. So that's why today I'm wanting to transplant all of my peppers. These right here, this is a bell pepper variety. I started it in February, and as you can see, if I left it along with the other 4 that it was in a jug like this in, they would not be able to be transplanted at that point. They would just be so big that they probably would die if I tried to transplant them because their roots would be all tangled up. So I did have to up-pot these. Like I said earlier, I don't really like doing that, but I had to do it. So these are ready to go in the ground, but again, this is how this plant right here looked not that long ago. And these are some of the healthiest plants that I have grown in the 3 or 4 years that I've been doing them like this. I think I'm finally learning what works and what doesn't. And I just wanted to share that with you and show you that you can grow stuff from seed just by using household things. You don't have to have a greenhouse. You don't have to have fancy equipment to do it. I mean, use what you got. You could even use solo cups if you had to, and start tomato plants and stuff in. It's all in knowing what they need and providing what that plant needs so that it can grow. So now I'm going to stake out my rows. The way I trellis my peppers, yes, I trellis them. It's called the Florida weave. So I don't plant them super close together, but I weave twine in between the pepper plants, and it just kind of helps stabilize them for when it's windy. I've also used tomato cages, but we all know how hard those are to get in the ground, especially if your soil and ground is rocky, which ours is in certain places. So I have found doing the what's called the Florida weave to be a lot more successful and easier. The only downside to it is having to pick up the twine and cut that afterwards, but it's easier than trying to get tomato cages in the ground, each leg, and then bending and then having to pull them up at the end when the ground is rock hard. Here I have all of the pepper plants planted. There are 6 rows with about 11 pepper plants in each row.